Good. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you can hear us out there. It's Friday night hangout, so let's get started with that right away. I'm Lorenzo, and my comic son Circumstances is with me here. If I can bring him
What
in.
up, comic book fam?
Hey, what's up,
Sorry,
everybody?
related. It was all my fault. It was all my fault.
Hey, better late than never. It's all good, man. I think we should be. I see the comment section's working, so yeah, we are now broadcasting live. So you were you able to get those 10 together, or was it more of a task
I
than you
did.
you did?
It did. I don't. It was hard because comic book collecting is pretty much a solo event for me, and it's hard to have sentimental value when it's just you,
Yeah.
because really not a lot of people around me are interested at all in it. But I was able to do it, and I'm happy with my choices.
All right. I was gonna say, are you confident in your choices? And okay, then that's all.
I'm ready.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. You want to
I think they're
start, or should
gonna.
I
I
start?
think
Or
my
uh,
I will start. How about let's see. Yeah, I'll start. So you go. So you'll have the final one,
okay.
and we'll start. I'll start with number 10. I
Oh, you gonna
decided
go
to
that? Okay, yeah.
go.
Let's go that way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean,
I decided with.
go. Yeah, yeah.
I decided to go with this first number 10 because it's not exactly sentimental, but it for me it represents my excitement of returning to comic books. I came back in with kind of a '90s mentality of buy a bunch of these and then 20 years later you're going to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
So for me, my first one that I'm going with that has sentimental value is going to be Berserker number one.
Oh,
I remember reading about the Kickstarter on this before I jumped into comics and being really interested in it. And when I finally did just dive into comics, I remember browsing things from another world and just being really excited about this coming out. And so I got really excited
oh.
about Berserker number
Somebody
one,
spec on Berserker.
and I came in I came in hot, Lorenzo. I came in real
Wow.
hot,
Wow, wow,
and every
wow.
time I saw it, I just couldn't help but pick it up. So
Wow. Wow.
I just have an absurd number of Berserker number ones, and I'm picking this as number 10 because this represents my absurd excitement for comic books. There's no reason to have that many, but I did
Oh
it.
my
Here I
God.
am.
Are those all first
So,
prints?
these no, they're not all first prints, but well, most of them are. Let's see. This is all first print. And
Huh.
then I got I have a second print, I have a third print, I have fourth print, and I have fifth print. So
Wow.
yeah, I went all in on Berserker. And the funny thing is it's a lot like my childhood in the '90s, where you're buying a bunch of one book that there is plenty of copies of. There
Interesting.
are no shortage of Berserker number ones in this world. So these are ever going to be worth anything. But it's funny to me because I was just so excited to be back in comics. I went ham on it.
But
Number
I could
10.
we could call it the Spawn one of our time almost. But
Yes,
but
exactly.
but Spawn one is not worth a few bucks though. So it only took what, 30
Hey,
years?
it's more like it's more like Prophet number one or Wildcats number
Ooh.
one or
Ooh.
Cyberforce number one.
Ooh.
It's more like one of those that you can easily find to this day in a dollar bin, no problem. And
Oh.
a matter of fact, Prophet just got optioned, and Jake Gyllenhaal is supposed to play the character Prophet, so it's been
Huh.
getting a lot of hype. But he was one of my favorite characters in the '90s. So anytime I saw a Prophet number one in the dollar bin, I picked it up. So I have like four Prophet number ones. Fingers crossed. Hopefully they get stupid expensive.
Now,
But yeah,
do you still have the books you collected in the 90s?
yeah, I have the most of them. Some of them are, I used to have some that I can't find. I have no idea what happened to them. But yeah, the vast majority of my books from childhood survived, and I still have them. Yeah. So
Huh.
I would have had about I had three short boxes from my childhood, and I'm probably up to 20 short boxes after 1 year of collecting.
After 20 short boxes already. I thought my
Yes.
stuff was growing like crazy. Man,
No,
that's
no, no,
impressive.
no.
That's really impressive.
I've slowed way down. I've slowed it way down this year, but I probably bought 1,500 to 2,000 comics last year.
Most of them berserker. Probably.
As you can see, Berserker's about
Yes.
half of them.
Wow.
So yeah, number 10, my excitement to get back into this thing. And
Okay.
really, I am so glad that I did. I mean, I've met so many cool people in this community, and it's really been wonderful because that's the difference for now between now and back when I was a kid is when I was a kid, I collected comics and it was a solo thing. My friends called me nerds. They made fun of me. It was never the cool thing to do, but it was something that I always loved to do, but it was something I did on my own. And that's the big difference now is that, I get to get online, I get to check out your reviews, I get to, and even though it's a recorded video, it's like a discussion for me, it's like having a little chat with, all the homies on YouTube. It's awesome. I love it. It's one of the best things that's happened
Oh
here in
man.
recent months. Yeah, I've been and just starting the YouTube channel and trying to figure out how to make that not suck. It's been a growth for me and it's been a lot of fun.
You're doing a great job with your channel, man. You're man. Your technical abilities are really enviable for me. You working.
It
You young folks know more about tech than I do, but you know.
Well, as we were saying backstage
What's up, Nikki?
Wednesday, it's a lot of editing for not a lot of views, but it's a passion, so it's worth it to me.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What up, Nikki? What up, Janet? We just
Hey.
got done with number 10. We're doing sentimental books, top 10 sentimental books. My first book was Berserker number 1. I bought like 100 copies of it because I was so excited to be back in comic books.
Yeah, yeah. That's when I really got into. I had the YouTube channel for like a while, but once the pandemic hit, that's when I started like, I should really do something with this because this is something I enjoy, and it's been great so far, man. I'm just, you
Yeah,
know,
I love your channel. You're one of the first channels I found, and I loved it, man, because you're all about what you love, the positive energy of comic books. That was one of when I started in the beginning, there were some channels that like I started following in the beginning, and I had to stop following because they weren't about what they loved. They were about the things that they hated, and I think that's a real problem in this country. Is we spend a lot of time on things that we hate,
oh my God.
myself included. I mean, I spent all day watching news, right? And let me
Mhm.
tell you, I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. I
You have
don't
to
watch news
ration the
anymore because
news. I
I
mean,
just,
it's necessary to
yeah,
kind of know what's going on, but just ration the news to just like this much of your day. It's like don't
I'm
get too.
trying to,
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
trying to cut it out, man, because it's all hopeless to me. So yeah,
yeah. Good
what's up
point.
with number 10 for you? I'm ready.
All right, number 10 for me. Since I'm a wee bit older than you, uh, I
A
go
little
back in
bit,
the day,
just a little bit.
just a little bit. I go way back in the day, and I'm going back to my first Marvel comic. I read stuff like Sad Sack and stuff like that. Maybe a little Archie when I was smaller. But when I was 7 years old, I was at the doctor's office, and I hated to go to the doctor's office, right? Because it just always get shots, and I was just scream like like a little girl. It was just crazy. It was embarrassing. But on the way out that day, I stopped at the little newsstand in the lobby of the doctor's office, and they had like comic books. And I saw this book that I'd never seen before, and I thought like, oh, it's got like several characters on it. And so it was Fantastic Four, not this one, but one very much like it. So I had to rebuy it again when I was able to buy comics again. So I've had this for a while, but it was a Fantastic Four number 40, which is the Battle of the Baxter
Wow.
Building, which I thought this was just the coolest shit ever because it was Doctor Doom. It was like I guess the second part of a series where Doctor Doom was duking it out with the Four, and at the end, Ben Grimm like rips out all his innards and stuff and pulls like, oh, what the hell is this? What the hell is this book? I never Daredevil guest starred in it. Wyatt Wingfoot's in there. And the Thing changed from Ben Grimm to the Thing. Like at the end of the book, like my 7-year-old self was just blown away at this book, and I've been a Marvel fan ever since. I've gone through other I love indies now, but my heart is with the Silver Age Marvel because this is where most of the stuff
It's all
that I grew
began.
up with is Marvel, and just like, and then looking behind the scenes of all the stuff that was going on. I read books like the true story behind the Marvel the thing about them when Stan Lee was the president, and they all hated Stan, and it was like a miserable workplace. But
The
they churned out
drama,
all
yeah.
this beautiful stuff. It's just amazing. All these people like working like dogs, making all this great work for us. So yeah, this is my number 10 for sure, man. Going way back in the day
Who's
to
the
this one.
who's the art on that one?
Oh, this is Kirby, man. This is Kirby
No,
standing
that's what I
Stan and
thought.
Jack. This is Stan and Jack
That's
all
what I
day.
thought.
Yeah, so
It doesn't get much more classic than that, man. That's
oh man,
awesome. That's a
oh my
dope
God.
book.
Yeah.
So do you have books from your childhood still, or did you lose them?
Ooh, man. Hey, what's up, man? Um, nope. Unfortunately, I was gonna like most of my parents, my mother. I was raised by my mother and my grandmother, and they had no respect for comic books, man. I mean, comic books were like
Yeah,
the funny papers in the newspaper. That's just trash you throw out.
yeah,
That's not what's that
yeah.
crap. They probably threw out thousands worth of books if I had today. It's like thanks a lot.
What
We could
up, Brandon?
have.
What up,
But
Brandon? My kids are huge Looney Tunes fans, and that's one of my greatest achievements thus far. So what up, Brandon? Great name.
yeah, so you're up, man. You're number 9. What you got?
All right, number 9. We're gonna go back to my childhood. Now, this book isn't from my childhood collection, but back in the '90s when I collected, it was the heyday of an artist named Stephen Platt, and he was most famous for
Oh,
Moon Knight. He did some great Prophet covers. I
okay.
remember he had a great cover for Wizard magazine that was all the rage when I
Wizard
was a kid. I
magazine.
probably should have.
Sky Point. Wizard magazine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the business, dude. I used to
Yep.
love that book.
Yep.
But I picked this one up in my buying craze last year. It is the final issue of Moon Knight, and it is just a classic Stephen Platt cover. And it's
Oh man.
that classic style where he's just real busy on the art. Like he used to always just be really busy in his art, and I really liked it. And it's kind of out of style now, although he really reminds me of Steve McNiven,
Oh.
who is doing Moon Knight now. Actually,
Hmm.
he's done some great covers for Moon Knight, and that like Moon Knight, Steve McNiven's Moon Knight #1 cover that came out last year had major Stephen Platt vibes, so I really liked that cover. But I loved Stephen Platt as a kid. I sought after all of his special Prophet covers. He was one of my favorite guys. So for that reason, I'm going with Moon Knight #9, the final issue, as my pick. If I had it, I would have chose his very rare #4 variant back in the day. It was when Prophet #4 came out. It was like my first memory of variant covers actually.
Yeah.
There was a variant cover that it was a special Stephen Platt cover that was like super hard to get. It was #1 like every month in the Wizard magazine. I'd love to have that one, but we'll settle for this one. Stephen
Wow.
Platt,
It's a
baby.
nice
You don't
cover.
recall Stephen Platt?
The name rings a bell, but I wasn't big on the title back then. No. But it look a very very cool cover though. I like that.
Dope artist. One of my favorites.
The next one is it's just a common book really, but it's a reprint, but it's signed. And by the way, like 8 of my 10 books are signed. So luckily I have some of them
Ooh,
that are signed, that I've witnessed being signed, and some that were signed in front of people that I trust, so I know that they're authentic. Because sometimes
right.
you pick up a book in the bin at a show, and you see a signature on it, like, is that real? Sometimes it may be, sometimes not. But all the ones I have in
That's
my
a
PC.
goal.
Hmm?
That's a goal of mine for this year, 2022, is I want to have more signed books. And
Yes.
there's going to be some great artists at Planet Comic Con this year. Inhyuk Lee, one of my favorite cover artists. James Tynan the fourth, my favorite writer. They're all going to be at Planet Comic Con, so I'm really hoping to get some SIGs
Get that
from that bad boy.
Billy the Kid #1 signed, right?
I actually messaged Justin Gray on uh, Instagram, and I was like, "Come on!" He had mentioned that he had missed. I think it was Colin Bunn was a friend. Colin
Uh,
Bunn's going to be at it, and he was like, "Oh, I haven't seen Colin forever." I was like, "Come on out, man!" He said he said he wasn't going to be able to make it out, but man, that would make my day to get those signed because Billy the Kid is not a hot book. It should be a hot book, but it's not. But man, it is super hot for me, man. I would love to have that. That would be awesome.
Could be a sleeper. Who knows? So
I think it should be. We'll see.
this reprint, I got this. Friend of mine at the time was going to I think probably the Orlando Con, and he was a bunch of people were going to be there, and at the time I couldn't afford to go, so I gave him a couple of books to take, and Stan Lee was going to be there, so I got X-Men reprint #1 of the Marvel Milestone Edition,
Wow.
and you see in the corner down at the bottom right there, Smiling Stan signs the book at the bottom. So it's I've had this book for so long, and at the time I didn't realize how, God, probably over 20 years. So close to 20 years, I
Wow,
would say. Yeah.
really?
So I've had this for a minute, and I
Well,
didn't know he was going to live as long as he did. But even now that he's no longer with us, it's something that I treasure even more. So yeah, this is
yeah, he signed a lot of stuff, but that doesn't matter.
he did.
It's still it's still
It's
very
still him,
valuable
man.
to have his
I
signature.
mean,
Yeah. I would love to have a Stanley signature in my collection. That would be incredible. That's
oh
awesome,
man,
man.
yeah.
I
This
love
is
that.
the only thing it could be better for me is if it was Jack Kirby, and man, those are slim pickings getting one of those now. So
Even harder to get.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he
But
didn't sign as much as Stan Lee did.
oh man, they had poor Stan propped up near the end, just signing like a slave, up to $100 a
Getting
pop,
that money.
Yep, yep.
I would too. I ain't mad at him. I would too. $100 a pop. That's a good rate right there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think you're crushing me, man. That was a dope. That probably would have been my number one book if it was in my
No,
collection.
I should have held off. I wanted to start strong though, so I came up with the stand.
All right. So for me, number 8, this is another book from my childhood collection. It was the book that I was like, all my books are worthless, but this one is going to be the one. And when I jumped back in, with my comic books, I would always pull them out every so like 5 or 6 years, and I'd look them up and see that they were worth nothing. And I did it again the early last year when I got back into comics. I pulled my comics out, and that's when I found you guys and was like, "Oh, this is awesome! The comics are amazing." But there was one book that was worth $110 for my collection, which was astronomical for me.
Yeah,
And I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna sell this." But then I realized,
it'll straighten out in a second. Hopefully, as everybody's streaming on a Friday night, the bandwidth is creaking. It's creaking under the weight of all the streams. Hang in there, Surcam. We'll get you back. I must know what that book is. You're back. Where is he? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You may have to call back in. Wow. He's left us hanging. Like, what is the book? What is the book? Oh well. He'll be back soon. In the meantime, I could go next or I could wait for him. I think I'll wait for him. There we go. The suspense, I know, right? I know. All right. Let's see if we can get you back in here. All right. Can you hear me?
check, check.
All
I
right.
can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Now we left off at number
Sorry about
9.
that.
Oh, no
I don't
problem,
know
man.
what's going on. Man, this ain't going
No.
right.
Gremlins in the
Okay,
screen, man.
so my collect I don't know where I left off at, but my collection is usually cheap books because I would go to this bookstore and I would get books for like 10 cents a quarter because it was just the money I was able to scrounge together. Whereas I could go to the shop and get one book for $1.25, or I could get like 10 books for 10 cents.
Wow.
So that was what I did. So, but I did find this book in my shop, and it is The Invincible Iron Man number 118.
Mm-hmm.
And the significance of this book and why I was so excited to get it as a kid is because it's the first appearance of James Rhodes,
Oh, that
who eventually
is
becomes who eventually becomes War Machine. And so
right.
when I was a kid, I was so happy to find this because War Machine is one of those, black characters in the Marvel. So I was really excited about it. War Machine was one of my favorite characters. I was a big fan of ForceWorks, which was the team that came after Avengers West Coast, and Rhodes was a part of that team. So I was a big
Right.
fan. Was really excited to add this, but when I looked it up and I saw it was worth $100, then I found grading, and I noticed that there's spine ticks
Fine
like
ticks.
crazy on this book. Somebody wrote like a blue. The shop that I bought them from, they would always put these blue marks on the book. So there's a blue mark on the book. It's just completely worthless, but it's on my list because it's been in my collection for over 30 years, and I love Jim Rhodes. War Machine was one of my favorite characters, so I'm choosing that as number 8, even though this book is almost worthless because of the condition of it.
Hey, it is still a key, and it still has sentimental value for you, so it still counts,
It
you
does.
know.
It does. It
Awesome,
does. I
man.
love this book, man. I wouldn't sell it anyway. I love that book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All these books tonight are books that are dear to our hearts and probably won't be sold, unless there's a
No,
dire
no.
emergency, God forbid, So the next book is
Unless
not.
you want a Berserker number 1. I got
Uh,
some Berserker number 1s if you want one.
oh my God, I've only got a couple of copies. The next one is not signed, but it's got kind of sentimental value. It's kind of, it is a key. It's not in great shape, but this is another friend of mine who I used to hang out with in part of the comic family. Jan knows who I'm talking about. The happy guy that we used to hang out with. Who was always in a bad mood. He's always grouchy, and she called him, happy or something, whatever his name is. So I traded him the first appearance of the Vision. This Avengers, what, 50 something, I want to say. I forget what the number is, but the Behold the Vision, the original appearance
Yeah,
of the Vision, and we were just,
I would love to have that one.
I wish I had it back. Like, I got a pretty fair book in return, but I was thinking like back then they hadn't blown up, and I was thinking like, yeah, I like this book a little bit better, and so
Yeah,
he traded me this
57.
one, Werewolf by Night, Marvel Spotlight, I should say, number 2, first appearance of Werewolf by Night. It's probably in, I don't know, in the threes, maybe a 4, something like that. But
That book might pop here soon, though.
I know. I mean, it's been hovering for a while, and in high grade, it is, kind of a thing. But I like it not just because it's a key, but it is the first. It's like it got the Neil Adams cover art, and it's got Mike
Yeah, that
Plug
art's
interior.
nice.
Yeah, and Mike Plug is one of my favorite interior artists as well. So it's got the Mike Plug interior artist, and the backup story is a story by the guy that created the Bill Everett, who created the Submariner. He does a reprint of Venus, which is like this, I guess, golden age character. This blonde lady in an evening dress who's named Venus, but it's so beautifully drawn. Though. It's like a kind of a corny story, but the artwork, his artwork is just fantastic. So this is one that I could have sold back when I guess probably still sell in the future, but I like it not so much because it came from my happy friend, but just because it's such a nice book and it's a key and it's I just like it. Werewolf by Night.
So you're telling me that if Werewolf by Night pops up in the Moon Knight Disney Plus series, and that book goes bonkers, you're keeping it?
Probably. Probably.
Wow. Okay.
Probably I'll
Okay.
probably keep it. I mean, we're talking how much it goes up though. I mean, like, $100, that's not so bad. That's not worth it. But if it
No.
were to pass like,
Thousand.
if it would hit $1,000, then we have to start thinking about it.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm saying. The grand selling a book I bought for $4 for $1,000, that's the dream right there, baby.
yeah, it's just
Someday.
Offer you can't
someday.
refuse. Yes.
Yeah.
All
All
right. What's
right. So back to
number 8?
modern for me. 7. This will be 7.
This is 7?
Let me see. Yeah. 9,
Okay.
8,
Yeah.
10,
Oh
9,
yeah,
8.
you're
Yeah,
right.
this will
Yeah.
be 7 for me.
I learned to count one of these
And this
days.
is another book that I got last year getting back into comic books. And I chose it because it meets the sentimental criteria. And that is going to be the Spawn 311
Uh,
Chadwick Boseman variant. I was really happy. I jumped in late, and so this was a back issue when I got it, but I was able to find it for $5. I bought two of them because it was $5. But
nice.
Chadwick Boseman, not only was he a dope Black Panther,
Yeah, man. Chadwick did a lot of
all,
stuff.
all accounts, cover for him.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him in lots of other movies, like what's her name's Black Bottom. I don't know if you saw that on is it Netflix? I
Hmm.
think it's on. With that,
My what? Yeah, it was
Ma,
on Netflix.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that was a great role in there. Completely different kind of character, you know. But
Yeah,
that was a
no,
tough loss. That
he
was a
had
really tough
range.
loss. That was a real tough loss,
Yeah,
man.
and it was just so sudden, we didn't really know about it. It was just all of a sudden he was gone like Kobe. It was just out of nowhere.
Yeah,
So, and it hit me hard, man. Anytime somebody that passes away and they're near my age, it hits you. It's a little more personal because it's like, but if not for the grace of God, it could be me.
absolutely.
So yeah, that one hit me like with Kobe dying, and I thought it was a dope tribute from McFarlane. So I'm happy to add this one, and I'm putting it as number 7 for that
Awesome.
sentimental value.
Yeah, yeah. McFarlane did him justice, man. Even got the Wakanda Forever
Did it
salute correct with the right hand on top, you know. So
with the right.
he did it
That
right.
that is so important. Like, dude,
Yeah.
are you like I get mad if people do it wrong? I get mad about it. You see that?
Yeah. So he did his research. He did it right. On the Todd monster.
Respect to the Todd father.
Absolutely. All right. I guess it's in kind of not really should be like in a certain order, but it's kind of mixed up. This is probably this is not a comic book, but it is a program guide. I used to go to shows in Motor City at the Motor City Convention Center in Novi, Michigan. That was my first time traveling to a con in the Midwest. You know, I just like it was kind of a big deal. Like, oh wow, as I was
How
getting
long ago are we talking?
shoot, this is 25 years ago, maybe in the
So the
late
'90s.
90s, yeah, the mid to late 90s.
So in the heyday,
Yeah,
then.
yeah. I mean, it was probably because that's when I got back into comics. I've been into comics since the Fantastic Four 40 days, but stuff happened in my life, and moving from here to there and losing books and so forth. But I was hanging out with people who were into comics and they were traveling to shows, and I thought like I've never been to a show. Let's go to a comic show. My first show was out of town at this Motor City Comic Con, and some of the guests there were some of the all-time greats. They had some good ones there. And this one is the program guide from which year is this? God, I should know what year this is. Oh, 98. It's right on the cover. 1998. And it's the spirit, and it's signed to me from Will Eisner. So, and
Uh,
he was like, he was like,
wow.
at the time he was like super old and like and so much I wanted to ask him, like what's up with that character Ebony, to begin with, but he's such a nice guy, nice old man. He was polite and everything, and he signed his stuff, like it was a different time, just let it go.
He was born in 1917. Give him a break,
I
right?
know, I
That's how
know.
I feel it. If you were born in 1935 or even 1940 or before, you're gonna get a lot more passes from me than other people are.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
crazy. You met Will Eisner though. That's awesome. That is
yeah.
so dope.
And I didn't have any of his books, any of his work, but I had his work was on the program, and once again, one of those things, I didn't know how important the Stan Lee thing was going to be. I didn't know how important this was going to be because there ain't no more of these coming out, unless you've already got
Well,
one.
there is.
What's up,
Yeah,
Staple?
yeah. He's been gone 20 years.
Oh my God, yeah. So after you sign this book, seems like wow, been a long time.
That's a good question, Stapled. Where are the horror comics at?
I
Huh?
have to look, man. I thought I had a couple in there, but I don't know.
I don't have any. Sorry, Stapled.
I got into the horror stuff probably later on, except from like creepy and eerie and those '70s books, and those are all thrown away by my by my mom, so I don't have any of those left. All right, man, what you got?
Okay, number 6. This
Number
is going to be
six,
another
six, six,
modern
six.
book. This is the book you know well. And I'm choosing this book. I'm making this book sentimental because this book is like a barometer. It's an easy way for me to find family. If you are into this book and you like this book, then you and me are kin, and it's a quick thing. It's a quick decision. So Shadow Doctor #1,
Ah, you got the
one of
cover I
the
want too. That's nice. You
the
got that
most.
variant cover.
I got a bunch of these
You got
actually.
a. That's why I
Uh,
can't find them.
I
You
got a
got them
bunch of these.
all.
Hey man, maybe I'll send you one because I couldn't stop buying. Anytime I saw them, I had to buy. It was the same thing as Berserker. If I saw Shadow Doctor #1, I was like, yeah, okay, go ahead and give it to me.
That is
But
a dope cover.
this is a great book, and I found a lot of cool people like yourself who I connected with because you were hyping this book as well. I know uh, Comics with Bueller was another guy that I connected with because he was a fan of this book. So I made a lot of friends because they were like, "Oh, you're down with Shadow Doctor? Okay, you're my people." And it's just a great book. It has a great story. It's based on a true story. I mean, I'm not saying anything you don't know, but the author of this book is writing about his grandfather who told his father these stories on his deathbed about how he worked with Al Capone and how he became a doctor. And this dude is legitimate. If you look on Wikipedia, the guy that this story is about has his own Wikipedia page. He's a
Really?
legit doctor.
Huh.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yes.
Oh,
He
you
is a
done the
legit
research.
doctor. Yeah,
Right
he
on.
is a legit, well-known doctor that has his own Wikipedia page. And little did we all know that this dude came up with the mob and Al Capone. So super,
Wow.
super interesting story. I cannot imagine this not being optioned in some sort of way.
I can't either.
It seems to be specifically written to be optioned. It was
Doesn't
like
it?
I want this to be a show, but I'm gonna write it as a comic book first. That's what this feels like, and I love it. It's really good. It leaves you really wanting more. And there's so many. Like there's really a lot of stories that could be told here, and they wouldn't necessarily have to be exactly true, just vaguely true, and you could have a lot of fun with it. So, for that reason, because of the connections with you and other comic book folks like you, I'm choosing this one as number 6. Shadow Doctor #1. If you don't know about it, go find out about it.
Better ask somebody. Yeah, yeah,
That's
that's a
right.
great choice. That's a great choice, my friend.
Renzo,
Yeah.
you got any manga?
Good
You got any
question,
manga in
Stefan.
here?
That's a really good question. I don't really read a lot of manga. I mean, I know little about it. I respect the hell out of the medium. I'm subscribed to this. I just subscribed yesterday to this channel that does nothing but manga and anime. I love looking at other people's manga, and like that. But I don't have any true manga in my collection. Like Seven Secrets, for instance, is kind of manga inspired. What you think? It's kind of got that style to it. The Tom
The
Taylor
the
thing.
the art,
Yeah, the art is
yeah,
definitely manga
which is
inspired.
great.
So it's
I finally just read 13 today, actually.
yeah,
Getting
yeah,
ready for 14. That's a good book.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so I respect the medium, and it's totally influenced comics going forward. And I love that in Japan they're just like everybody reads comics, and it's not like you look at it as a weirdo because you read comics. So I respect the
Yeah.
medium, but I just I'm such an old school guy. I love the older traditional style comics. Personally. So I guess I'm up now from that same, not maybe
Number
not the
6?
same convention.
Number 7.
Number 7. Is it 7? Okay, there's a 6.
Number 6. Number
Number
6.
6. Yeah, there you
6.
go. I should have used prompts. We'll figure it out once we get to the end. Another convention at the same place. I don't know if it's the same year or not. Jim Steranko was there, and he's one of my childhood favorites from all the covers he would do. Turns out he was a slow worker. I guess he didn't turn stuff in on time, and that was the reason that I guess he was kind of booted off Marvel in some cases, not because of his talent, but it was cool to meet him. So I got him to sign this copy of Nick Fury number 7, which is in pretty decent shape actually. And at the time, he would not just sign his name. He would have to sign like to somebody, so it's to Lorenzo Steranko, because he was like against people, I guess, like making money on his name on the internet or whatever. That's because at that time, I guess eBay had just started up, and he was like, screw this stuff. But now I see people have his signature with just his name. So maybe he just had a change of
Yeah, he
heart since then.
changed.
He had a change of heart. He was kind of, he's such a cool, back then he was like, just like the Speed Racer pompadour, is only gray, full head of hair, got a
Yeah.
$1,000 suit, with the sleeves rolled up, looking cool as hell, Jim Steranko. And tell you
I'm
about
not familiar. I'm not familiar with him, but if you look at his Wikipedia page, that picture is everything you're
oh
describing
yeah, that's
to a
him, dude.
T.
I mean, he is Nick Fury. I mean, he drew Nick Fury in his image. He's only bigger and
That's
more
awesome.
muscular because he was kind of a small dude, And at the time, my friend
Did he come
was
up
with
with
me.
Nick Fury?
Uh huh. Was
Did he
that?
create Nick Fury?
No, no, no. But
Oh, okay,
he's probably the biggest, the most, I guess, the most famous artist of Nick Fury who's ever done Nick Fury.
he's known for him.
Yeah, I mean, his Shield covers, he did like about maybe only 5 or 6 issues of Shield, but all of his issues were like he experiment with like stuff like the Salvador Dali kind of a cover like this. He was not afraid to try new stuff. He was like a young brash teenager at the time in the '60s. So he was like this young arrogant hothead in Marvel. Um, so he's known for Nick Fury, I think, for more than anything else. And my friend who came with me, he wanted to be slick. He didn't want to have it to his name on there, so he told Steranko that his name was Nick. So like it was writing to Nick Fury on here, so I guess he won't just flip the damn book.
Uh,
He was such a wise
that's
ass.
smart.
Yeah, I guess yeah,
Hey, it
it's pretty
works.
smart. So I guess no, it's one reason this is going to stay in my collection because probably nobody wants to Lorenzo on their comic,
To
But plus I
Lorenzo,
do love this
yeah.
book, and this is my only Steranko signature. I think may have one more that he signed. He had a book that he personally did called Jim Steranko. Uh, Great Art or something like that by Jim Steranko, and he signed that for me. This is the only comic book that he signed for me. So that's
Okay, Skip and Tosh, that sounds right. You saying Kirby's created Fury, probably.
yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. You created them way back in I want to say Strange Tales something in the '60s maybe. I'm not really good with the numbers, but I know you created them back in Kirby did that. This back in Strange Tales.
He looks like a he looks like a mob boss. He really does
He
look like
does,
a
man.
Italian mob. He's a made. He does look like a made man. It's true.
Oh yeah, nobody messing with Jim Steranko. Yes.
That's dope, man. He's still rocking and rolling at 83 too.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's still kicking, advising on.
83.
He was an advisor on Agents of Shield. He's still getting around, still active on Twitter.
Respect. That's dope.
Heck, for sure. One of the greats.
Well, that's a dope number 6. I mean, you kill me with these signed books, man. I don't have any. I do have signed books in here, but it's gonna be my number 1. So I don't know where I put it. Okay, so number 5 now,
Uh-oh.
and I'm gonna go with a series of books for this one, and I'm going with this one because the number 1, I had 0 in number 1 when I was a kid, and I wanted all of them. But when I first saw this book, it just blew my mind. I had never seen a comic book with art like this, and I had never seen a comic book written from the perspective of people around them, and that was the whole Marvels series from Alex Ross that
The
came out in
original
the
Marvels.
90s.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved this art. This is when I fell in love with Alex Ross and his style was in these Marvels books. I just could not believe that there was this high level quality of art, this high level quality of books in the comic book format. I was just blown away by these books as a kid. And so when I got back into it, I had these two from when I was a kid, but I didn't have all of them.
Hmm.
But when I got back into it, when I was buying 1,000 comic books, you better believe that the rest of these were among those that I was trying to buy because I loved these. And I've reread the first two, but I'm going to read all of them just to enjoy them again because they're not valuable books by any stretch of the imagination. They're just really dope books with some amazing art in them. So for that reason, I'm putting that as number 5 on my list. Been in my collection since I was a kid. Alex Ross is the man. I still buy a lot of his stuff just for the cover.
Yeah, his art is awesome, and that run, I had to sell that run when I moved. But if I hopefully there are still, if I find it at a show or somewhere, I'm definitely gonna pick those books up
Oh
again
yeah,
because it's a great story. It's a great story, like with that the reporter
it
through
is.
other people's eyes, the Marvel universe. That's
Yes,
and
really cool.
I
Really
used to
cool.
work at an art store in Evanston, Illinois, in the darker days of my life,
I'm
and
I'm from Illinois.
are
I'm
you
from
really?
Illinois.
Oh man, we need to
I
talk.
lived in Belleville. I lived in Belleville though, down
Okay.
south.
All right. Well, it's
I'm from the land of Lincoln though.
Lincoln, man. I'll tell you, and art, not art, um, Alex Ross used to come into the store from time to time, and like, that's Alex Ross. Like, people didn't know what the hell he was. That's
Wow.
Alex freaking Ross, man. He's one of the greats. You come in and get his watercolors and stuff. He does everything. He does models and he uses models, I should say, and everything is painted with watercolor,
Yeah.
which is one of the hardest mediums to work in. Because you make a mistake, that's a wrap. There's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's a happy accident now. But this guy cranks
Yeah.
out
He's
work and in watercolor. So
and
respect,
he's
'cause
still doing it
still
too.
doing it.
He's still doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, that's awesome. All right, my number 6 is it or 5?
5. We're on
Let,
5.
let's say 5. All right, this one is not at all. This is a sentimental thing more than anything else. Again, from that same convention, probably another year. It could have been the same year. I'm not sure. But there was this book called Telos that nobody probably has ever heard of, and it came out.
Nope.
There you go, crickets. Telos, and it was written by a guy named Todd DeZago and drawn by Mike Wieringo. And I don't know if anybody knows, Mike Wieringo passed away at a very young age. He was like maybe in his 30s or something, like late 30s or 40s or something, early 40s. And we met them. At least I met them at one of the one of the little things they have. What do they call those things when they have like a little hour long or uh, thing with the in one of the
A
side
panel.
rooms? Thank you. A panel. Yes, that's the word I'm searching for. Yes, senior moment here. So yeah, and Todd and Mike Wieringo, and I love the style. They were just so nice, man. They were just like like super friendly. I was trying to get my little comic thing going at the time, and I had Mike and Todd sign this at the bottom, the writer and the artist. And this is worthless, but just the memory of the of meeting with those guys for an hour, I felt like I knew them, and some and we
That's awesome.
yeah, it was like maybe 6 people in the room, maybe including the the creators. So we had time to just ask them all kinds of questions, and they looked at our portfolios and stuff. And so this is just a total sentimental uh, thing here. Completely probably worthless because nobody will ever make that into a show. But that's just something from the past that resonates with me.
But that you can't buy that experience, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That
yeah,
I
yeah.
would love. I'm an awkward fellow, so it'd probably be super awkward, but that would still be cool. Like it's
Believe,
weird. It's weird for me. Being around celebrities is weird for me because they're just people, but then they're not at the same
yeah,
time. So it's like it's weird.
They're
for
just
me.
people. There's
So that
people
would
with
be
interesting
amazing.
jobs. That's all. It's just people that have interesting
Yeah.
jobs. Don't be too awed by them, because they appreciate that when you come to them, like, yeah, they'll make a big deal. Like you're like, oh my God, it's you. That's like,
Yeah.
oh God, I just want a
No.
sandwich. I'm just trying to
No.
get to my room. But
I'm
just
trying to think of somebody who would make me be like that. Oh my God, it's you. Who would do that? I can't think of anyone.
I don't know if
I'll have to
anybody
think about that.
alive right now would make me be like that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Stan Lee could do that,
Oh
but
yeah,
he's gone.
Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
One of those guys that walk on water. But all right, so
Okay, number 4.
number 4.
I
Oh, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here.
I know. Number 4. I'm gonna go with another one from my childhood collection. And I actually got this one out of one of those cheap stores that I used to buy in. And I was super excited about it because it was a hot book that everybody wanted at the time. And that was
Ah,
Spawn number 2.
number
I
2.
do not have a Spawn. I do not have a Spawn number 1 because you had to go into the shop and get one of those. Right. You weren't going to find a Spawn number 1 in the back bins back then. But I did find a Spawn number 2, first appearance of Violator, and I was really excited to add that. I was I was super excited about Todd McFarlane and Image and what they were doing, and I really respected the whole aspect of it. I was a liberal even back then. I just didn't know that I was. But I really loved the whole thing about it, and I really enjoyed kind of watching them do their thing through Wizard. Because I probably read more Wizard than I actually read comic books just because of the money situation, right? I
Yeah.
couldn't I couldn't and I think that's why when I jumped back into comics this year is I went absolutely ham because it was like I'm collecting comic books, and unlike in the '90s when I couldn't get anything I wanted, I'm gonna buy every damn
Everything I
thing
wanted. I
that
know,
I
man.
want.
I know.
Everything. And it was awesome because it was such a different experience of you know what, not having to pick and choose, but being like, just give me all of it.
Give
And
me
I'm
all of
still
it.
that way.
Damn it.
That's why the 10 book limit is a sham because I get in there like, you know what, I could get to the 10 book limit if I cut this and this, but I don't want to cut that. So screw the limit. And I think that that's born of being a kid who didn't have any money, and now being a grown person who has a job and can pay for things. So
Mm-hmm.
I love having this book. This is not worth. It's probably like a $5-10 book, but it's really special to me because it just I remember the excitement of finding this thing for a quarter and being
Oh,
so happy about it. Telling my mom because she's the only one that would listen, but
oh
being pumped
man.
about it. So I would love to get this signed someday. Like I said, not for value, but just for sentimental purposes, and get this
Mm-hmm.
signed by the McFarlane, by the Todd father. But that's my number. What number 4,
Number
along
4.
with Spawn number 2.
That's a good book, man. And like you said, back then, even though there were like almost a million printed, or maybe more than a million of number 1, you couldn't find them because everybody was hoarding them, right?
Yep,
Everybody had bought them and they were
exactly.
sitting on them.
Right. There
So
was plenty of copies, but there were most of them with this dude had 20, this dude had another 20, because everybody thought that about this time they'd be selling for $1 million. Boy, I
yeah,
got that wrong.
yeah. Well, if you're
I still
lucky,
need to get me a Spawn one.
yeah, you can get one now for between 30 and probably 100. Depending on the grade, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
I'm
remember
trying to get one for. I'm looking for 20. I want to pay 20.
that's my limit. Damn it, I'm not going over it. Hell
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I remember being at a show. I don't know if it was in Chicago or Michigan, but I mean, I bought like they had stacks of number 1s and number 2s, and they were all like near mint. And I was like going through them, like, oh, I'm gonna get these graded. I bought like about four or five at least copies of each one of them, and I did get the number 1 graded, and it came back at 9.8. And if I held on to it, my dumb ass sold it like way like years ago. And it's one of the few books I've gotten graded, and I think I sold it.
I was gonna say I never see you with graded books.
No, I mean I bought a few, recently, but I haven't had one graded since the days of the Comic Cons, way back in the day, But I'm gonna get back into it pretty soon. I just gotta not be so
No.
impatient. So,
Yeah. Turnaround time is like 193 days right
oh
now,
my
so I
god,
wouldn't rush.
man, how long you plan on living? My goodness.
Yeah,
So the next one is
you
number
waiting for
4, I
those when
guess.
you die.
Yeah, I know.
Number 4.
Number 4, 4, 4, 4. This is a two for Ashley. I cheated on this one. This is 2 books. Um, but the story is they both were sent to Orlando with that same friend of mine who I trust, who got these signed for him at that big show, which had a lot of people there. You know, 'cause Stan was there and a bunch of other artists. And one of the folks that was there was Carmine Infantino. And I had a copy of, I still do have a copy of Flash number 350, which is the last issue of that run, the original run, the first volume. And you look closely at the woman's face down there, you can see he signed it in gold on her face. Infantino. He has a cool signature too. So
Oh, no, I see it. Okay.
he has this
Looks like a tattoo on him.
yeah, he blended in pretty cool. And this is the last issue. I don't know how much this is worth. I know last issues are sometimes worth something, but who knows? Probably maybe $1 or $2. But just to
He
have
passed
this,
away 10 years ago.
yeah. What is it? Now this is from '85. This is he did what? He died?
He died 10 years ago,
Oh wow, I didn't even realize
2013.
that. Wow. See, I'm really a big DC follower. I totally missed it. Wow, man, respect. So that makes it worth even more to me, at least, because I'm
Yeah.
never gonna get another one. Yeah, this is from '85. This Flash 50, but this is one of them that I got signed. One of 3. I'm going with the Stan and this one, and the other one was the story on this one is not the exact same copy, but is once again like the FF number 40. It's one very similar to it. It's probably a fine copy of Spidey number 64, and it is signed by John Romita Sr. You can see like his very
Whoa.
cool signature. And the thing about this was the first Spider-Man book I ever bought, and I bought it off the rack in 1968, probably from a newsstand on 63rd and Woodlawn in Chicago with my grandmother. So I bought this
Wow.
book, and I want to have the man himself, because to me, this is my Spider-Man. This is John Romita Senior's Spider-Man to me. When I read, first one I read was my friend's, was number 63. That was like with the 2 vultures on the cover. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I mean, who's this guy? Like in that issue, he fell off a chimney. It was raining, and his webbing slipped, and he probably hurt his shoulder, and he's like favoring his shoulder the whole issue. And now in this issue, he runs into the vulture. He's got to fight the vulture with this bad shoulder. So it was just like, oh man, my little whatever 12-year-old self was just going crazy with this book, and I was a Spidey fan for years after that. So this,
John
yeah,
Romita. That's crazy.
J.R. Senior. I hope he's still
That's a
alive. I'm
dope.
not sure, but I think he's still
I
alive.
doubt. I don't think he
Cool.
is actually. Let's find out. That's a
Oh,
dope cover though, with a
oh,
dope signature though.
yeah, man. I mean,
It looks great.
some people just like, nah, crank him out, but you tell you put a little
Eh,
bit of thought in that. He really cared about signing it, and his son does the same way, J.R. Jr. Both of them.
He's still going, man. He's 92.
Good for him. The Origin of
Wow,
Tombstone.
92.
Huh. That's nice. Staple Spine. It got you back into collecting, huh?
Oh, sorry, Skip. I didn't see what you said there. This is not top 10 favorite books. This is just top 10 sentimental books. So you had to come in with some sort of sentimental value on the book, which made it really hard for me. But
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
top 10 books. Top 10 books would be a different list, I think.
Yeah, I mean, maybe use different criteria. I probably maybe think monetary value on that one, maybe or something, or
Monetary,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So this,
Monetary would be a bigger factor.
yeah, yeah. But these are probably not going to be going anywhere for either one of us. All right, so going to number 3, right? Yeah, number
Number
3.
3, I am going to go back to modern book for number 3. And like number 10, the Berserker book, this book represents my excitement to come back into comic books and my excitement to come back into comic books in a time when it was just so much different from how it was in the 90s. And I remember just being just super drunk off comic books, getting on the Things from Another World website and just trying to drink it all in and try and get my bearings on the books because I was new and I didn't know what was going on on anything. And I remember just going in there and getting excited about the books that were coming up. And I really focused on this one and pre-ordered it like months before it came out. And I remember just like waiting for it to come, being excited for it to come out finally, because I just really liked how the cover looked. And that's going to be Eve #1. If
Ah,
I place if I play Stevie Wonder's All I Do, it will transform me back to perusing the website and staring at this cover, and I can literally remember and feel and smell how it was at that time. It's Pavlovian, as I said before. But
uh-huh.
and so whenever I see this cover, I get that feeling back of that excitement of being back in comic books again. And not only just being back, but being back in an environment to where we're seeing books like this written by Victor LaValle, which is not a book that we would have seen, when I was a kid, I don't think
No,
personally. And
no.
on top of that, the story for this is sentimental to me as a father, because this book really is about the next generation and how they're going to deal with our bullshit. And
Mm-hmm.
so that sentimental part of it was a big deal to me. So just the excitement of waiting for this book and finally getting this book, and then really enjoying the story and what the author was trying to do with this book. I had to go ahead and make this one #3 for that reason, because it is super sentimental to me. I love this book.
Very nice. I love Eve too, man. And I was making my list of best books of 2021, and I meant to give Eve at least an honorable mention. I somehow left it off because it was a really good
Yeah.
series. It was a good series. I got a couple #1s from that one, and I enjoyed the whole series. You're right. I
I
can
hope we get
imagine if
more.
I imagine having children makes it hit home a lot more. Thinking about
It does.
oh wow, good choice, sir. Good choice.
I remember reading. He has a blurb at the end of the first one where he talks about his thought process into
Mm-hmm.
writing this book and how his wife was involved in climate change science and that influenced him. And that just it really hit me in my feels, man. It definitely did as a father. There's
Yeah.
going to be another book in my feeling. There's another book in my list that is on the list because I'm a father for sure.
Hey, you're a good
Little
father, man.
little foreshadowing.
You're a good father.
Little
Oh
foreshadowing.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right,
All right,
so
#3, man. We getting down to it.
yeah, yeah. My number three is also from a trip. I had this book, another signed book, and I witnessed this one signed. Actually, this was in Toronto, Canada. This was, and I forget what show the name of the show was, but it was held in the city proper of Toronto, right around right around the millennial, right around 2000, 2001, I want to say. And this guy is no longer with us either. But he also, unlike, just like I should say, Mike Waringa, well, he died a young man, which is very sad. And we sat with him for like, this was back in the day, man, when they didn't charge for autographs. Think about that. That sink in. They did not
Wow.
charge for
Yeah.
autographs. Uh, and we sat around. I mean, it was a big show, but still, he found time to sign like 3 or 4 books for me, and he even did a sketch in my sketchbook, all for free, all for free. And it's like, I guess like,
Wow.
I guess hey, the show paid for her, for him being there. That's back then. That's what you did. They paid your way and gave you X amount, and what you did when you got there is you signed stuff and you interacted with people. But now they've taken it to another level, which is fine. But whatever. So this is Fathom #1, signed by Michael Turner, and he did a couple of. This is my favorite one. I've only got this one left. This is I used to sign it right across that's how you can tell a real Michael Turner signature. You sign it right across the title all the time. And this is such a nice guy, man. This dude sat around with us and just kicked it, for a long time. And I'll never forget him, And he drew a picture of Aspen, the character in my a sketch, a quick sketch of Aspen in my sketchbook. I'm afraid to even.
You still have it?
Yeah, I still have it. Yeah, I meant to bring it for this thing, but I don't have it handy right now. But yeah, I think about that whole
He died
that was the highlight of the trip right there, man. This is such a good dude, and gone too soon.
37.
37. Yeah, yeah, he was a young man. I think it
Bone
was cancer or
bone
something. But
cancer.
yeah,
bone cancer.
Yeah, horrible way to go. Terrible.
It's crazy how that stuff will make me sad. Like I really will get sad about somebody who died 15 years ago. It's like
Yeah, well,
37. Wow.
yeah, that is sad. Hey, yeah,
2008.
2008.
That's a
Yeah,
dope story, man. That's dope that you got that with him.
yeah, yeah.
It's discovered by Mark Silvestri.
Oh yeah, okay, another image guy. Yeah, yeah. He had
Yeah,
a
I didn't
distinct
know that.
style. They're still using his art in covers. I guess a lot of artists they're using their art still. I bought a what was it a Don Heck cover of Timeless. I'm not sure if Don Heck is still alive or not. But they're still using his artwork. So once they get your artwork, Jack, they're not giving it up. Keep using it in
But
perpetuity.
it's crazy he died so long ago, and that's still a name that I hear, Michael Turner. I
Mm-hmm.
still hear that name.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. He's
crazy.
great artist, man. Great artist and great style.
Is Fathom a good book?
I think it is. I think it's worth a check out there. I don't know
Looks like
about the
some
current.
nice
I
art.
don't know the current incarnation of it, but the original series, you can probably still get them for decent prices too, unless you get like rare copies. You still get that. Definitely
I
probably
like
get
his art.
trades. It's worth a read.
Yeah, the art looks nice on those covers, man. I was looking at them.
Yeah.
That's a dope one, man. You're killing me. You're killing me.
Well, I just got lucky a few years ago when I was doing the comic con circuit, but your time is coming, sir. You're gonna get
Well,
some in the future.
you I'm saying you've been in this game a little longer, but that's still a dope, man. You've got some experiences that I could never match, which is really cool, man. Obviously, because they're gone. But
Yeah,
all right, so number two, we're getting down to the final two, and
getting
this is
down
the
to it.
one that I foreshadowed earlier. This one, this book made me cry multiple times.
Mm.
It was an emotional thing for me, and that it was emotional because I'm a father, and ever since I became a father, I've become a much bigger pussy in a lot of ways. Things things that didn't make me cry before will absolutely make
that,
me cry
that makes you a
now.
real
Or
man, man,
you
because
know,
you let it out. You gotta let it out.
yeah,
Let that shit out, man.
yeah.
You can't hold it in. You hold it in,
Well,
it's bad for you.
I'm the realest man there is, then apparently, because there used to be, you see a commercial, and before I would think nothing of it, but now it will punch my dad bone, and you think the world looks a lot different once you become a dad, and it's so much scarier. The world
Sure.
is so much scarier once you become a dad. And so, with all that in mind, I'm going with number two. This book really affected me personally. It's going to be May's book, number
Oh,
one, from Jeff
oh,
Lemire. This was a great series from him. I thought he wrapped it up very, very well. I thought the art that he mixes in this book. Well, who was it? It was his art. Yeah, the art
written
that
and
he
drawn. Yeah.
uses to mix with the story. There's a hazy sort of dreamy feel to the art in this book that really matches the story. But it's about a father who lost his daughter 10 years ago, and it wrecked him. And so, in the 10 years that have passed since his daughter died, he's really been dragging through life, really not really caring for anything, really just living to live and nothing more. And then he gets a call from what he thinks is his daughter, and it starts this series to where he thinks that his daughter's trapped in this maze, and you don't really know if the call was really his daughter, if this is really a maze, or if this dude's just completely losing it. Which, if he was, I would understand, because
Absolutely.
just I was losing it just putting myself in his shoes. I was losing it. So for it to be real, this guy was in bad shape. I would be in worse shape if I was him. But it really got me in my feelings for that reason as a father. And I think that the message that it comes to in the fifth book at the end was a really beautiful message, and it really wrapped the story up very well. I thought, I don't know if you read this one, but for that reason, it was one of my top books last year. And I
The same stream, really. Is anyone still watching? Hello, hello. We're back.
Yeah, well, it doesn't
Sorry about
matter.
that.
We're watching.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that technicality. But yeah, so yeah, May's book I want to check
Yes.
out. I'm gonna check out May's book in trade paperback form because I didn't get to finish. I mean, I did read the first issue, but I didn't get to read the whole series because just it's a game of numbers. Sometimes you just don't get all
Yeah.
the all the the books you want to read because of the 10 book limit, which is like you say a farce. But you try to stick kind of to it.
Yeah.
When you
You
hit
still
20,
try.
when
Yeah.
you hit 20, you think, maybe not anymore. Hey,
No, it's
Skip.
worth it. It's good. Like it's a good read. It's sentimental and it wraps up nicely, I thought, which is always important. So yeah, I
Yes,
recommend it.
yes, absolutely. What's up, Gino? Thanks for stopping by, man. Oh yeah, it's we lost a little. We lost.
Gino.
We lost altitude for a minute, but we're back. All right, my number two before we lose altitude again. All right, from that same trip, I remember this. It's the same Toronto trip where I got the what do you call it sign? The Michael Turner sign. Michael Turner was there, and also this guy was there. So and the story about this one, this guy is another really really cool guy. Uh, his father is also in the business. You may know him as John Romita Sr. And he signed this book for me. This is another book that I had graded, and it makes me sick that I don't have that. I think it came back in '98 too, and I sold it way before I should have. I had a couple copies. I got one graded, and I got one kept. And the one that I kept, I got signed by J.R. Jr., and he did this on the cover. And I was just walking around like
Wow.
waiting for it to dry, and people were stopping me. Did Mr. Romita draw that? Like, yeah. I didn't ask him or anything. It's like he just drew it and just signed it and drew it. He was in a good mood that day, I guess. He just like was, and this was the same show where he was signing for free, so he was just having fun,
Wow.
signing stuff. And this is probably this is not the one I got graded,
20
but
years ago?
this was yeah, it had to be like right after 9/11, so it had to been like it was like the 2000, yeah, 2000, 2001, yeah, 2001, 2002 maybe, because
He
9/11
signed in
happened.
'02,
Yeah,
so
9/11 happened in 2001, right? September 11th. So yeah, it had to be like the
yeah.
next year. And the show happened that year of the following year of 9/11. So these were plentiful at the time. Right now, even a fair copy of this probably like around $7,500 for this, raw copy for this book, graded 9.8. Now I don't want to think about how much that would cost because I don't have it anymore. but this one right here is one for sure that is going to be around forever. I'm not getting rid of this. I mean, I I think maybe CBCS does that. They did that signature verification thing, so maybe I'll do
Yeah.
that with this one. But even if I do, I'm not going to sell it. But this is my number two for that reason, man. That's I don't know if I'll be
I
able to
think it
get
would
that.
be worth it.
It probably wouldn't be. I mean, just to have it to look at
No,
it
I
is
think it
like
would be.
it would be. You think?
I think
Okay.
so, yeah.
Yeah, because I
The
don't
reason
see.
why is it'll give value to the book when you're gone.
True, true. Yeah, maybe Janet can buy something with it.
Yeah. I mean, that
Yeah, and
that would be the main reason.
yeah, and CBCS is the only one that does that verification. CGC, they'll just send it back like with some drawing and JR written on the front. That they will even verify that. So
I'm going to
getting
be
down to
sending my number one book.
number
I'm going to
one.
be sending to CBCS
Oh, is that
because I
right?
got this golden ticket. I
I
got this
remember when you
golden
got that
ticket from
golden
Comic
ticket.
Tom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not giving
So
those
I'm going
out
to use
anymore
it.
either. You got lucky.
Yeah. So my number one book is a signed book, and I want to try and get CBCS to grade it. So, all right. So moving on to number one.
Moving
So
on.
this is not number. It's not number one because it was signed. It's number one because a friend of mine gave it to me. So comic book collecting has always been a solo adventure for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that when I was a kid, I was, a cool kid. I played sports. I was on the varsity team, things of that sort. But I also did nerdy stuff like played role playing games and collected comic books. And my friends all clowned me for it when I was a kid. So it was comic books was always something that was just for me. It wasn't something that I got to share with people. But when I got back into comic books last year, I was able to share Something is Killing the Children with some friends.
Yeah.
whenever I try to get a friend of mine to understand this comic book thing, Something is Killing the Children is always the book that I use to say, hey, if you don't understand why comic books are so dope,
The
then check this out.
slipcase.
Because this
Oh.
story is amazing, and I am 3 for 3 on sharing Something is Killing the Children. I've shared it with 3 people, and all 3 of them have loved it because it's a super dope book. Like I remember, and I tell them, I said, if you don't like this, we probably can't be friends anymore because this book is amazing.
Seriously, what's
So
wrong
maybe
with
they're
you?
lying to me. Maybe they're lying to me. I don't know. But I shared Something is Killing the Children with my buddy Mike, and I got him into this comic book thing a little bit. So he's not a comic book nerd like me, but he dabbles in it, right? He sticks his
Uh-huh.
toes in, which I'll take because it gives me somebody to bother about comic books. But he is in Chicago, and he just went into his local comic book shop one new comic book day, and Michael Morrissey or Moretti was in there, and he's the
Oh,
writer of Barbaric,
right, right.
and it was the release of Barbaric, and he was in his comic shop in Chicago for the recent. I guess he's from Chicago,
Oh, really? I didn't
but
know
he
that.
was in there signing book. So my friend got both a cover A and a cover B signed by both Morici, and then also I think it's the colorist, but I'm not sure who it is. Godson, but Addison, that's who it is,
Uh-huh.
Addison. But he got it signed by the writer Michael Morici, and then one of the artists on it also signed it. And this is the first signed book that I've ever owned in my entire. Even as a kid, obviously, I never had a signed book. So for him to send me my first ever signed book like that was super super cool, and I'm
See,
really excited to have these in my collection because Barbaric is a really, as you know,
barbaric is a
Barbaric was
thing.
an incredible sleeper hit
It,
last
it
year.
is absolutely a thing, and it's a
Crazy
sleeper.
sleeper hit.
Yeah, yeah, man. See,
Yeah, so
you're on
I
your
hope
way, man. You're getting your signed book collection together already, and you can get it
I hope
graded for
so.
free, right?
Yeah. Well,
Sweet,
you have to buy four. You buy four, you get one free. So,
nice.
but I
Okay.
am going to use it and try and get these bad boys slabbed. So
Oh
that's
man.
number one for me. Thank you,
Oh.
Michael Walker. I love you, buddy. Appreciate you.
Shout out, man. Oh man. All right, my number one. It's the story with this one. I had the complete run
Oh,
of
nice, Skip.
1 through 6 of this book, and it makes me sick that I had to sell the complete run. But I had 2 copies of number one, so I had a second copy of number one. All right, so it was like this signing in I think some mall in Chicago, I think it was, the Woodfield Mall, as a Warner Brothers store. Okay, and these guys are going to be there. That were the Batman creative team, right? And at the time I didn't have a lot of the Batman animated series that they worked on, but I did at the time love Batman Beyond, which when it came out, back in what '99, was not that big of a deal. I mean, it was okay, but a lot of people it was still kind of a niche thing. People weren't ready for like McGinnis as the Batman and old man Bruce Wayne. But I was all over it, man. I bought the DVDs. I got all 3 seasons. I had the complete run. Wish I hadn't sold that run, but anyway, luckily I kept
What did it
number
run
one.
on?
Huh?
What did it run on?
Uh, it was a 1 through 6. 1 through 6.
Oh, you're talking about okay.
Yeah, Batman Beyond was a limited
I think
series.
I'm
The original series 1 through 6. The second book
okay.
was
I'm
I think
looking at the
was
TV show.
oh yeah, that was probably the same year. I mean '99, or maybe it's came out like the year after or the same year. But the second issue was like the first appearance of Blight, and the number 6 was first appearance of Ink, and those are blown up now. So even the off issues are still uh, doing pretty well. It so happens that the guy who drew it was there. The only guy who worked on this book was Rick Burkett. You can't really see it, like it's in black, like right there. He signed like right on the Batman Beyond in black marker. And this book is right now, I want to say it's probably $200 easily, maybe in raw
Without
condition
the signature.
without the signature. Yeah, so I'm thinking I might at some point get this graded, maybe, but just for the same reasons as the Spidey. because this is in pretty decent shape, and these books were printed on crap paper back in the day. These are the really crappy thing. They make them bad now. These were like paper thin. This Batman
Yeah.
Beyonds, because they weren't that popular, So if only I had kept it, I would have, would have had a whole run to enjoy, to maybe think about selling. But I'm not going to sell this one just because of this was over 20 years ago, sentimental value. And not only that, the rest of the guys who were there, they couldn't sign it because, if you don't work on it, you can't sign it, right? So the other creative team, I was like, what can I get them to sign? There was nothing else there. They were just sitting there. There was nobody in the store. And we could have spent, all day with them. They were sitting around like, oh, why the hell are we here? So I just looked around and found this like little kiddy's notebook, and this little folder, and Alan Burnett, not Rick Burkhead, Paul Dini, and this other guy that's a colorist. They signed my little notebook for me. So this, of course, has no value either, but other than sentimental. But this is the creative team for the Batman the Animated Series, which it's spawned some good stuff, including Harley Quinn. So this for that reason, I guess, is number one. I could have swapped it out with the Stan Lee, but I was weighing it between which one I liked most, but I like them both. But the Batman Beyond is probably I don't know. I've always been a Batman Beyond fan. The girl from the Different World was a voice on there. Bree Summers, I think his name is, or Bree, whatever her name is. She did the voice of Max on Batman Beyond. So I've always been a Batman.
Who was
Beyond.
she on Different World?
She was on a Different World. She was the friend. She wasn't God, what was her name? Bree.
Marissa Tomei.
Bree something. No, Bree Summers. It's like a porn star name or something. It's like I think it's probably Bree Summers. I could be completely wrong about that, but I was a big fan of that series, and for that reason, I guess my number one is
Summer.
Yeah.
You're talking about Cree Summer.
Cree Summer. I'm gonna say Bree. Yeah,
Cree Summer.
Not cheese, the Cree.
She was good
of all
looking.
Cree.
Her.
Yeah, I mean conventions, man. My God, I miss conventions because this COVID and all that. I mean, we had one show last year, period, and
did you go?
That was it. We had one convention in our area, and that was it. And I don't know when the next one's going to be up here. Probably maybe next summer, the SummerCon, which is not the biggest show in the world, but I'm gonna have to travel.
Comic-Con in April, baby.
Oh man, I hope we get this virus taken care of soon.
I'm hoping
bomb as hell. Ace the Bat Dog, yeah, man. Ace the Bat Dog is in the continuity now because he's in Batman Urban Legends. I got a couple copies of that book too. So yeah, Ace the Bat Dog first appearance is in Urban Legends, but his first appearance period was in Batman Beyond when he was the protector of Bruce Wayne. So yeah, thank you, Darkman Cree Summers. Yeah, he chimed in too. I was just having another brain fart on that name, but man, so that's awesome list, man. Awesome list. Thank you, man, for coming up with that.
I tried to hang with you.
You did a great job. You did a great job, and you're on your way with all those signatures now, man. It's just gonna. I mean, it's like you were right now where I was probably like back in the early 2000s. I was just getting back into it, and that stuff just accumulates over time, man. Just we both love this hobby.
That's a problem. It accumulates.
That's the only problem. Notice all the books I got here. I mean, my house is already full, so now there's creeping out into the office now.
Yeah, it's getting out of control.
Oh my God, yeah. But hey, what are you gonna do?
I don't know.
What are you gonna do?
I'm not gonna stop. I know.
Don't stop. Whatever you do, don't stop, man.
That's the beauty of having an older collection, though, is you've got some dope stuff from 20 years ago, and that's stuff that can never be replicated. That's so cool, man. That Michael Turner stuff.
Oh yeah, guys that are gone now, especially like that, And that's I only took a few boxes with me when we moved across country, and of course those were my most treasured. They roll in I didn't ship them. They rode in the van with us all the way there. So nothing gonna
Right
happen to
there with
those,
you
man.
with the
That's
seatbelt.
right. You went to the motel at night. I took him out of the van into the motel. Nope, nothing gonna
They
happen to
came
these,
with
baby.
you. But people don't understand. It's serious business out here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, man. Keep collecting.
Well, thank
Keep
you to
collecting.
the chat for hanging with us, man. Thank you to Gino and Janet, Staple,
Thank you.
Station fellas.
Station. Station. But I mean, that's the thing you kids say nowadays. Yep. Station, Gino. Yep. Station.
Station. That's right.
Oh, oh
And
my God. I know I get at least 10, 12 from my LCS every week, not to mention the My Comic Shop haul that I get, which it varies. So a strong 20 books a week. I don't know about you, Surcam. How many do you get?
yeah, there's how many books I get on my hauls that you'll see on my channel every week,
That's
and
right.
it's usually 10 to 20.
That's right.
But
You have to
that's
tune in.
never all of them. I'm always buying more online that I'm not telling you about. So
Yeah.
even when I hit the 10 book limit, I didn't because I ordered probably 6 books online, or I've got things from another world coming in. So I probably buy 50 books a month, at least.
Yeah.
Which it sounds pretty crazy saying that out
I
loud.
never thought, I don't know about you, but I never thought I'd say that. It's probably like 50.
That's a lot. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a lot. But the funny thing is that last year I bought 1,500 comics last year. So you do the math, how many comics that is a month. I was buying way more comics last year. I've gotten myself under control. But when I first got back in, there was a ton of books that I wanted when I was a kid that I still wanted them. Like
Sure.
Spider-Man 2099. I actually had Spider-Man 2099, but I lost it. So I had to get that back into my collection. There was some old X-Men stuff. And I actually meant to make it one of my sentimental. I meant to make my whole box of Avengers West Coast. Um, I had the whole run except for 2 issues,
Ah.
and most of those are from my childhood collection because if you were searching in back bins in the 90s, you're going to find a lot of Avengers West Coast in there. So that's what I have a lot of, and I love Avengers West Coast. And the funny thing is that those books have been completely worthless until now. Like with WandaVision, there's a lot of potential in the West Coast Avengers books, which I'm really excited about. There's some really cool storylines in there. One of the things I hope to do for my channel actually here soon is I'm going to read the entire series of West Coast Avengers and try to make a series out of it.
Hmm.
But that's a big endeavor because I really, with as much editing as I do, it takes me, 30 minutes to edit 5 minutes. It takes a lot.
You can do it in segments, like this, the first few issues and break them down like that, start at the
Right,
beginning.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's my plan, but
Mm-hmm.
but even like a 10-15 minute video that's a lot of work when
Yeah.
you edit it as much as I do. Because
Yeah.
I'm always trying to have something going on.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, but you can count on seeing I bet the white vision again. And along, I think with the old Avengers kind of like, in limbo right now, it would make sense to bring the West Coast Avengers out, to bring them into the
I
MCU.
think I think the best potential that I see is there's a storyline with Scarlet Witch in West Coast Avengers where she has her 2 kids, which we saw in WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens in the West Coast Avengers storyline is that those 2 kids were actually fragments of um, Immortus's soul. And so Immortus, I think it's Immortus, but they come back and they take the kids back, and you see the cover it's Pandemonium maybe, but the cover is the guy with 2 kids on his hands because it's Wanda's kids,
Right.
and I'm wondering. So we have the situation with Wanda's kids. We know that she's looking for them because she hears them in the end credits of WandaVision, right? When she's reading that book. I don't know if you saw that, but she
Mm-hmm.
hears her kids. So she's definitely going to be, I think her kids are definitely going to be a part of the factor in this Doctor Strange stuff. It's just a question of are they going to use these Avengers West Coast storylines and are they going to give us dark Scarlet Witch, which I
Oh,
think they will,
they have to,
which
because
would
she
be
was kind of
dope.
heading in that
Which would be
direction,
dope.
She's heading in that direction.
Yes,
So
which would be dope.
God, I hope so, man.
So
I hope
West
so.
Coast Avengers in my jam, and it might be everybody's jam here soon. I hope so because Vision and Scarlet Witch, they've always been my favorites, man. Since I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah, man. And now it's people are discovering them now. That's cool, man. All right, man.
Disney.
I guess you're ready to sign off. Maybe you got stuff to do, being a parent and everything. But thanks
What?
for stopping by. Thanks everybody for coming through the stream and whoever's watching on the replay. I know it's pretty long, but I think it's worth it. We touched on a lot of good stuff here, and let's do this again,
Yeah,
man.
I read. Yes, for sure. Let's come up with another topic and try and do
Yes,
it again.
yes,
Darkman, I read 90% of what I collect. I do cover horror buy sometimes though. There are some books that I buy strictly for the cover, but mostly I read. And I know Lorenzo is a cover horror though.
absolutely. Such a cover whore. I buy some books just I have not read yet. Pure for the covers, no shame in my game. Nothing but the cover. I love them for that. But stuff that I love,
I
mostly
highly
indie.
recommend.
Oh yeah.
I highly recommend West Coast Avengers, Gino. It's worth it. It's a good read. I love them. But yeah, thank you, Lorenzo. I appreciate you, brother. This was
Hey,
fun.
thank
Let's
you,
come up with
man.
another topic. Let's do it again.
Thank all y'all. Thanks for stopping by. Hey, all right. So till next time, next week, you join me on Wednesday, right? I see you then.
I'll be back. I'll
All
be back.
right.
Yes, sir.
All right. People demand it. All right, guys. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. See y'all later. Peace out.
Peace.